Hey guys, Sean here at the Gardener Center. So I have another great plant on deck this week to talk about. Another perennial plant. This plant may be familiar to many of you already. And to be honest with you, this plant may have broken a few of your hearts in the past, maybe even more than once. This is perennial lavender that I'm talking about this week. You know, French lavender, English lavender, Spanish lavender, Portuguese lavender. We probably sell more lavenders here at the store than any other perennial plant that we carry. I think a lot of the reason we sell so many lavenders is because a lot of people are replacing their lavenders that perished on them, because this plant is very challenging to grow where we garden here in the Northeast and in Connecticut. There's a lot of things that lavender don't like about living and growing in Connecticut. And it has nothing to do with traffic or taxes. It's really all about our climate and our soil structure here, which makes these plants really challenging to grow here. So what I wanted to do this week is talk a little bit about lavender, and most importantly, kind of set you on the right course to grow it successfully, because a lot of people make the mistake of planting it just like they would any other perennial that they plant. These guys, there needs to be some thought behind planting lavender, and there needs to be a little extra preparation, and the care after you plant them is a little different than most of your perennial plants. So I want to start there. Lavender is always described and presented as a perennial, and it is. It's more akin to a shrub though. So when we think about perennials, like things like hostas, peonies, phlox, those are herbaceous perennials that die back to the ground every fall or early winter. Once we get a couple of hard freezes, they die back, they disappear, they maintain no presence during the winter months. Lavenders are more of an evergreen shrub or subshrub, so they're actually more similar to like an azalea than a hosta. So they do not die back to the ground, they keep their foliage during the wintertime, but they're always associated with perennials in the nursery for obvious reasons. So, it is a perennial plant, but it's actually a shrub, but very challenging to grow in Connecticut for a couple of reasons. Like I said, there's a lot of things lavender do not like about our climate, and that's because lavenders are all have Mediterranean origins. So think about Italy, think Greece, think Spain, think the south of France. They come from a climate that's very hot and dry and cool in the winter, but not super cold. But it's really the hot and dry part that's kind of critical for them. And then if you think about, soil in the Mediterranean area, also right near the sea, it's sandy, it's gritty, it's gravelly. So these guys like a soil that's kind of exactly opposite of what we have here. You may have been out to the eastern end of Long Island, or maybe to Nantucket or Martha's Vineyard or the Cape, and you may see beautiful lavender growing there. And it's not because their climate's different from ours. We're right next door. Their climate isn't drastically different from it is here in Fairfield County. The difference is the soil. So the closer you are to the ocean, the chances are your soil is going to be sandier. So if you're living here in Fairfield County, and you are close to Long Island Sound, and when I say close, I mean you can see Long Island Sound from your house, it's possible that your soil is sandy enough already that your lavender are going to be just as happy as they would be if they were out on Cape Cod. If you're anywhere else, the soil has to be improved upon. Lavender does not like a heavy soil. Lavender likes water. It's not a cactus. A lot of people think it's drought tolerant, but it's not a cactus. It won't go months without water and survive. It wouldn't like that at all. So they do like water, but they don't like to be wet, if that makes any sense. They like to get watered. They like the water to kind of rush right through, and kind of once they suck up what they want to dry out right away. So in a lavender soil situation, they're looking for like 45% of that soil to be like a mineral content. So like sand and silica, clay, silt, that sort of thing. They only want about 5% organic material. Normally when you plant plants, you're throwing heaps of compost in there. They're not such a big fan of that. They only want about 5% organic material. And then they want the other 50% to be open, porous areas. That could be gravel, it could be pebbles, it could be scree. They want a lot of openness in the soil so that they can get air and oxygen to their roots. Lavender perish here often in the summertime, just as much as they do in the wintertime. A couple different things are happening. In the summer, if you're losing your lavender in the summertime or in the growing season, your lavender is planted in too heavy of a soil, and it's literally getting oxygen deprivation. They look like they're thirsty. You dump more water on them, and it's just curtains. It's game over for your lavender. They really like that Mediterranean climate. They like that water that rushes right through and doesn't keep them wet for long. They hate humidity. Humidity is something they don't like a lot, and it's something that we have a lot of here in the summertime. So lavenders are just not a big fan of humid weather. Again, think of the south of France, think of Italy in the summertime. It's not humid there. It gets hot, but not humid, so they don't like that. So it's tough to make them happy here, but they can work. It's really all about that soil preparation. So most times when you're planting a perennial, you don't put a whole lot of thought into it. But if you're going to make an investment in lavender and you don't live right on top of Long Island Sound or the ocean, you really want to spend some time and invest a little bit of money in preparing your soil for your lavender, because they have so many great uses. A lot of people like to use them in a traditional formal garden as a border or as an edging. And if you're going to do that, there's nothing more frustrating, and I see it almost every day, every summer, every year, is somebody plants 15 or 20 lavender, and every year you're replacing 5 or 6 of them. They never match again. They're always different sizes and different shapes, and there's always a couple of them in the border that are dead or being replaced. If you're going to use them that way, you want to think about maybe trenching out the border they're going to be in, getting some gravel into the bottom of the trench, and then mixing that soil, like I said, with a good 45% of like sand and other mineral content, and then just a little bit of compost. The sandier the soil is, the better. The good news is on the lavender front, because it's such a popular plant, a lot of breeding and a lot of effort has gone into creating varieties that are more adaptable to the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic, where it's humid and wet in the summertime, which they don't like so much, or in the winter for that matter. So a couple of new ones here to talk about, and some old ones. So these pretty purple short ones in the front, these are English lavenders. This one's called Hidcote. These are Lavandula angustifolia. So these are your traditional English lavenders. This is Hidcote here. Some Munstead over here. They're called English lavenders, but these originated in the Mediterranean region, just like all of the other ones. These certainly made their way up to England when the Romans were there. They brought them with them. And the English lavender is actually the lavender you think of when you think about the lavender fields in the south of France. That is English lavender that you see there. This is a short one. That's how you know an English lavender. The flowers are always kind of short. Their leaves are kind of short. Hidcote and Munstead, probably the two most popular of the English. The really good news is there has been a lot of work, like I said, trying to make lavenders that are more tolerant of wetness and humidity. So the newest one to hit the market a few years back was this one over here called Phenomenal. And Phenomenal is a cultivar of Lavandula X intermedia, and it's crazy hybrid, but it's a kind of a combination of the Portuguese lavender and the English lavender. And they are super winter hardy, a full zone hardier than the English lavender in the wintertime. And they show dramatically improved resistance to humidity in the summertime and wetness in the wintertime. So that is phenomenal. So if you are having trouble with your lavenders, struggling with English lavenders or with French lavenders, Phenomenal might be a way to grow, or way to go, or grow. The main difference with these guys, though, you can see these are tall. These guys, the English guys, have the short little spikes. These guys, the foliage still stays kind of short like these other guys do, but the flowers get 30 inches tall, which is really pretty, and they kind of blow around in the breeze like that. Wouldn't love that on a nice summer day. It smells great right here, right now, actually. But so anyways, guys, I hope this helps a little bit with your lavender, because I know you've all struggled with them. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.